Okay,
Yugandhar Yadav ji just now said Deep Sidhu was the agent
that's
of
okay, sir.
Sunny Deol. Okay,
that's okay.
Can I?
Hmm?
Can I? Mr. Yugandhar Yadav.
Yeah, please respond.
Okay, thank you. Yugandhar Yadav was playing as a cover-up for all the Deep Sidhus and Sidhanas. Some guy named, his full name is Kamal Sidhana. He was playing as a cover-up for them when he was talking to police and saying that I take responsibility, we take responsibility, everything was peaceful, whereas they knew what's going to happen today. Because what happened therefore yesterday at Singhu border, Mr. Yugandhar Yadav was there present and he addressed a public meeting, and thereafter when two Congress MPs, Navneet Bittu and Ojala went there, they were virtually not only heckled, they virtually escaped their life. They would have been killed by protesters and by radicals. And
sir,
Sir, I'm telling you what happened today. You should know that because you can't have your perspective.
I want to ask you.
And let me. Deep Sidhu was never an agent of Sunny Deol.
Okay.
It was Kamal Sharma who was the agent of Sunny Deol, who was the former president of Punjab BJP, not Deep Sidhu. So don't spread.
So Deep Sidhu, you're saying Deep Sidhu has nothing to do with the BJP. You're saying Deep Sidhu has nothing to do with the BJP.
Nothing
the BJP
to do.
cannot be blamed for his actions. Am I correct?
What he has to do, he has to do with Yugandhar Yadav and his former unions. Because he has been there, he has been coming there.
Okay, regularly. Let me come to Gurpreet Singh. Gurpreet Singh, you are president. Just a minute, sir. Now, let me move on. Gurpreet Singh, you are the president of the Global Sikh Council. What happened today, particularly the manner in which some groups went to the Red Fort, put up the flag of the Nishan Sahib on the Red Fort. The tricolour was still there, but to enter on Republic Day and desecrate Red Fort, what does this do to the Sikh community, the Sikh identity? This surely is not what a farmers' movement is about, sir.
Exactly. I'm not getting into the Sikh identity, but yes, it is definitely not in sync with what this farmers' agitation is all about. I think if anybody has been to the border before, as I have, you would have found that it was the most peaceful and disciplined agitation that was taking place there. Now, there are certain questions, like Mr. Yadav has said, which need to be answered to everybody. There should be a post-mortem. Number one was that we all know that these rallies were allowed to happen after the Republic Day parade at Rajpath was over, which meant about 11 o'clock. So that was what was there. How come these people who entered Delhi at about 8 o'clock, as per what Mr. Darshan Pal has said earlier in one of the interviews I was watching, they were allowed to enter Delhi? I'm looking at it from the purely administrative point of view. The Delhi police should have stopped these people because that was also part of their protocol, part of their agreement that they would only come into Delhi after a particular time. Why were these people allowed to come into Delhi before that and then to march on to? So questions are being asked. We know for a fact that this is the most purest agitation that has taken place. It is the most disciplined, most peaceful agitation that has taken place up to now. What has happened at Red Fort is highly condemnable. We condemn it, no doubt. But who's done it, how it happened, I think these questions need to be answered, to be asked, and and proper investigation needs to be done into that. And of course, coming down to the likes of Deep Sidhu and Sadhana and all these guys.
Let me bring in. You make a fair point that there needs to be a fair investigation into what exactly happened, the sequence of events. Yashovardhan Azad, as a former police officer, you heard there, could the police have done more? What we saw was the police was showing exemplary restraint. 80 policemen of the Delhi police are injured today. Many of them when the barricades were being broken. Do you think the police could have anticipated possibly the fact that allowing so many tractors to come into Delhi was a recipe for disaster?
Let me give you a quick few points on the police action. First, there are clear intelligence report that in a gathering of this kind, it will be uncontrolled, and despite the leaders' protestations, that they would be responsible. It is not possible to have a tractor rally in a metro. The place for a tractor is in rural areas and not in big cities. And therefore, there were intelligence reports that there will be violence by some groups. If I was the police commissioner, I would have never allowed this rally and said very clearly, you can choose any other day, but on 26th of January. Mind you, Rajdeep, being involved with these 26th January celebrations for over a decade, I can say that down to the last man, all the resources are stretched of the police so much, also the intelligence bureau officials, that it is not possible to have any other bandobast. So, if obviously the order came from the top to allow the farmers to have a tractors rally on 26 January, which means that they were perhaps, acceptable to collateral damage. My second point is that the visuals on the TV were emotionally disturbing, that on a day like this, on Republic Day, you have the flag flying, which is not a national flag. A lot of people were disturbed and they rang up. Let me tell you also another thing, that one really felt that for the first time, democracy was really bruised and deeply scarred. It was a mobocracy, and what was happening on the streets was something unimaginable. Now, the kind of reactions which are coming from the Kisan leaders are absolutely along, accepted lines. That it was not their fault, there were other people who got involved. This happens in all the protests. But all the other stakeholders of democracy are equally responsible. The opposition, for example, now it may condemn violence, but they never made a call even once to the Kisan leaders or tell them, why don't you have this rally on some other day? Why choose 26? Because the whole choice of 26 itself was suspect. It was wrong on the part of the central government to allow this on the 26th. It was wrong on the part of DKU leaders or other Kisan leaders or self-styled leaders to allow this on 26th, and also on the opposition who did not give a call to resolve this issue. Therefore, I blame everyone.
Let me take that to the opposition.